All right, guys. Carter Stein here again with Junior Deputy Dugout Talk. I've got a special guest with me today, Dustin Moseley with Proformance. Dustin, please introduce yourselves to us.
How you guys doing? Dustin Moseley here. Performance owner, played baseball professionally for 14 years. I was a first-round draft pick in 2000 out of high school in Texarkana, Arkansas. Got to the big leagues with the Angels, Yankees, and Padres, parts of 7 big league seasons. I had a career-ending shoulder surgery that ended my career, but kind of led me to the creation of Proformance and wanting to do things the right way and teach kids how to take better care of their bodies, their arms, their minds, all the above, parents as well. And it's turned into something that we've now been open almost 8 years, and we're still rocking, and it's been good. So we've been excited about everything that's going on, but we're continuing to have to repeat ourselves. It almost seems like monthly, yearly, of how to take care of guys, how to take care of young arms, and try to explain to people winning a ball game at 10 years old, it doesn't really matter if you're going to sacrifice your kid's health.
Thank you for that introduction. And let's just start right there. You're talking about arm care with young pitchers. Tell us what we can do at Junior Deputy Baseball, right? We're a recreation ballpark. We do try to keep it somewhat competitive, and we have some competitive teams. But how do we develop young arms and keep them healthy, Dustin?
Well, the first thing it starts with is having a throw-in program that they start up before the season even starts. So we have an 8-week throw-in program. I've got it for all ages. We even have our first softball team this year, and we've got them on a throwing program. So it's about conditioning the arm. It's no different from, if you haven't ran in a while, 3, 4, 5 months you haven't ran, well, you'd probably start walking before you started to jog and then jog into a sprint. So that's the first thing that you would want to do. The second thing is that you've got to have some, philosophical number, based off your program of saying, hey, this is the pitch limit. So at Proformance, we'll use my son's team. At 80 pitches, this is all they get for the entire weekend. If they exceed 30 pitches on Saturday, they don't pitch on a Sunday. Now, for a rec league, you're going to set those numbers, but it's all dependent also on where we're at in the season. If we've started playing ball games the 1st of March and it's cold outside, it's 30 degrees, then you may say, you know what, I'm going to limit my guys to 50 pitches total for the weekend, or I'm going to limit my guys 50 pitches for the weekly game. So that would be the second piece of it. And within that, you got to have someone have a clicker. You got to have game changer. You have to have something that's going to hold it accountable. You have to have a coach in the dugout. You're corralling the kids, but I've got my chart. I keep up with everything. It lets me know where guys hit balls, so we can kind of set our defense a little bit when it gets super competitive. But I've also got my clicker, and I've got a chart keeping my pitch counts. And you have to stick to it. There's going to be times where you're like, man, this kid is absolutely throwing this ball so well right now. We're in the bottom of this inning, but he's met his total pitch count, and we have to go get him. And you have to stick to it. You got to be willing to sacrifice a win to take care of guys and do it the right way.
Yeah, I think that's very important. And I love the word that you used there. You said accountability, right? And so it takes a plan for how we're going to hold ourselves accountable, right? So whether that's a number, you set that plan, and then you have that plan executed, whether it be in the league game or in the tournament setting. You just got to stick with that plan and execute it. So I really like that. I think that's a great message for parents. Obviously, sometimes it can be difficult to pull those kids off the mound, but like you said, we want to, I guess, try to target developmental gains over short-term wins and losses. So I think that's very.
That's right.
What
That's right.
Dustin, what are some of the biggest issues? And we talked about youth arm care, but what are some of the other biggest issues you see with youth baseball?
Parents.
Tell us more.
Yeah. So many times as a parent, we live in a state of delusion of who our kid is as a player, right? We know where we want them to be. But if we don't understand the game and we don't really understand what super talented guys look like, then we put this expectation on our kid that he's not going to be able to fulfill. So now the game it's not even fun anymore. You look down there, we got a lot of coaches in the coaches too, which they're parents, right? If we didn't have people complain about daddy ball. But if you didn't have dads coaching sports, we would have no sports. We'd have no youth sports. So I'm grateful for all that, but we try to teach guys how to handle themselves. Some guys didn't play the game at a very high level. So you don't understand kind of the unwritten rules just because the rules say for the weekend or during the week, this is what you can do, doesn't mean that it's right. Just because we can throw a kid 8 innings on a weekend, it doesn't mean it's right, because we've got a pitch count that we need to be following, right? And so you see so many things within it where parents get so caught up in the winning and losing, and everybody wants their kid to play shortstop for some reason. The top 10 highest paid players right now in the big leagues, there's only one shortstop on the list, only one. We've got 2 outfielders, 2 third basemen, and the rest are pitchers. So the reason position is that, where we want our kid to play, that I've never really understood. You need 9 players playing positions, especially at the younger age. Most of the balls at the younger level are hit to second base, first base, or right field. We usually put our worst player in right field, right? We put our best player at shortstop. Now think about that. Hey, Therese, that is part of it that just doesn't make sense to me, of wanting so much from these kids and everything. Now, it's one thing to hold a kid accountable. It's another thing we always talk about: effort, attitude, all those things that you should be held highly accountable for. You can come sit in the dugout if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, but you'll see parents and you'll even see coaches pull kids or want to mid-game, or why is that kid playing that position? That's because his dad's the coach, or yada, yada, yada. And it's just those things that the parents just create this. It's like if we could just stuff them all out in the parking lot and sit in the cars on the phone and watch it, the kids would have fun. The kids is what makes the game so great. We ruin it so many times as parents and coaches because of our expectations of wanting to be so competitive. I had a guy tell me the other day, he said, man, when we lose on the weekends, if we don't play well, it bothers me till Tuesday or Wednesday. And I'm thinking, well, man, we might need to find a hobby or something that allow this harnessed competitive nature / anger to play out some other capacity. So that's the biggest thing, is that parents have to understand that, expectations are good, accountability is good, but let's make sure that we're our kid is and allow them to blossom into the player that they're going to become. I saw a little quote the other day, and it was like, hey, all the kernels that you put, within the popcorn, not all of them pop at the same time. Well, we want to rush this developmental idea where you have kids that are much more physically developed, and we think our kids should be that. They can't be that yet. But a lot of the kids that are more physically developed at a younger age, they end up working. They don't work as hard. The other guys have to work extra hard. And when they get to junior high and high school, guess who catches them and guess who exceeds them? Because the guys have grown and they were just more physical than the other players. So that's the biggest thing for me that I see as parents is, number one, do a good, thorough evaluation of your kid. Don't go to the coaches after every game making a call or want to talk to them about my kid, this and that. And you never offer to help practices. You don't help the group meet. You don't help raise money. You don't help do anything. And then all of a sudden your opinion really matters in this thing. Give your coaches an opportunity to do their job. And guess what? I would rather at the younger level, the youth level, I would rather have dad coaches or coaches that care about kids, that truly want to grow them in the game of baseball, than some guys that have some high IQ that play in the big leagues or anything else, if the guys are just going to be all business. We want to develop these guys, not only as little men, developing little men or little women, grow them into that, but we also want to teach them how to win and lose and how to be good sports and how to work as a team. Those are big things, because what are the chances of any of these kids going off to play big league baseball, much less collegiate baseball? It's only 7% of all the high school players get a chance to play college baseball. And that's D1's a small percentage of that. So that's the biggest thing for me, is like, hey, sit back. Grandparents do a good job of it. They just sit and watch. They love it. They've been through it. But our expectations of what we want for our kids, especially when we don't put the time and effort in with them, then we expect them to do well out there. They haven't thrown all week, and they go out there and pitch on a Wednesday, and you expect them to throw strikes. The game's too hard. It's so hard. And I think that's the thing people need to understand. The game is hard. We have to practice a lot and allow kids to enjoy what it's called, a game. Let them play the game.
Very well said, Dustin. Let me follow up with you on something on that same vein. Baseball is a game of failure.
Correct.
And why is it that parents and dad coaches such as myself, why is it such a hard thing for us to let our kids fail at a young age. Our kids are going to have failures in baseball. They're going to have failures throughout their lives. Why are we so afraid of letting them fail?
Man, that is a great question. I think, I know for me personally, is that I know that a lot of people are looking at my kid with expectations that he's going to be me, right? And be as good as me. So for me, I can't speak for other people, but for myself, I would think I want him to be successful and I want him to do well so that people don't say, well, that kid's not cut from anything from what that guy's cut. That part of it's embarrassing and that's not what you want. But I can use my kid as an example. And you remember Coop down at JD, is that he was definitely not the best player on the team. He's still not the best player on the team, but every single year he gets better and better. And our head coach said, man, by the time that kid's 14, if he keeps working like he is with your genetics and all he has that you have with performance and all these other things, he's like, this dude's going to be a real player if he wants to be. And that's it, and that's the part for me to answer that question. For me, it's, I don't want people to judge him or even judge me saying, well, Dustin must not be working with his kid enough. Why is he not having success on the field? That has nothing to do. Everybody comes into the realm their own way. But for me, that's what it would be.
Yeah, I think that's well said. And I think, like you're talking about, there's a lot of parents who are, kind of outside that fence and are screaming and yelling, and they're projecting some of their own fears and anxieties onto their children. And if their children do have failure or don't have success, then that's somehow a reflection on the parents.
Exactly right.
Yeah, and it's tough. And so none of that, unfortunately, none of that's ever going to go away. I think as coaches and as a business owner, we just have to try to, like you said, manage those expectations and let people know that it's okay for them to have some failure. My son, just the other day, we just started out with some scrimmages. He hasn't faced kid pitching in 6 months since fall ball was over, and he struck out his first couple times. So what? It's not a big deal. Guys are gonna strike out. Let's get a few more repetitions, and if we can't get it figured out, then we'll go get some lessons. But it's okay to have some strikeouts. It's okay to have some failure. Hopefully that motivates him to work harder.
That's exactly right. And listen, hitting is timing. Guys go to spring training and they stand in and watch live pitches with their out of swinging the bat. They're in the cages every single morning. That's what spring training for. You got a month and a half to get ready for the season. And guys still come out in April not tuned up enough as they should be. So that's the thing. People just need to just slow down. What they need to do is they need to pick up a baseball, go get a radar gun, right? Or go play in a men's league or something and realize how hard the game is. And I think that will humble a lot of people because people will get up here and think that their kids should be doing this or that. And it's like, this game is extremely hard. And I've done that in lessons before. Dads get involved in the lesson, and I tossed the dad a ball one time. I said, well, get up here and do it. Well, he got super embarrassed, man. I figured he'd probably never come back. He actually became one of my bigger fans. But I said, if it's so easy, let's see you do it. He said, well, that's why I brought him here for you to teach him. And I said, well, let me do my job. But that's what parents, they want to throw everything in there from the stands. Just be quiet. Enjoy the game, right? Stay off the umpires. But Carter, the only thing that I think can ever change this is better gameplay, better rules in the game, right? So like with USSSA baseball right now, 9, 10, 11 years old, you can steal bases. As soon as the pitcher lifts his leg, you can lead off, a single turns into a triple. So it's just it's not even real baseball that they think it's real baseball. You can try to force balk kids over. We had it happen to one of our guys 2 times last year, and the coach is like thought it was a good thing. It's not a good thing, man. We didn't. Here's the cool thing: we didn't lead off until last year. We told all the coaches before the games, we're not leading off to give your pitchers a chance to throw good quality strikes. Do you know how many times we got thrown out stealing? 0. We wouldn't leave until the pitcher, made a move to the plate. We would go. So I think that I've always said for the younger players, big leaguers throw 5-ounce baseballs. Why are little kids throwing 5-ounce baseballs? We changed the size of the football for them, the size of the basketball for them. I think they should have lighter balls. I think that would help with some arm care and arm health. The other thing is I've always said, why not have a 23-inch plate? If a big leaguer has to throw on a 17-inch plate, why would a kid have to throw on the same plate? And guess what that would get rid of? All the parents in the background complain about a ball being a ball, which they're right. But if we, at 10 years old, if we only called pitches that were in that little big league zone, we'd be out there for days and it'd be walk city. Kids need to swing the bat. And you want them to go up there and swing the bat. And if they fail, I high five kids all the time. Strike three, they take a hack. Hey, do your job, dude. Swing the bat. We're not here to walk. We're here to get better. Hit the baseball. And so those are the little things that I think that if you start to change the rules and you start to hold coaches accountable how they act, because the parents are going to react off the coaches. So if the coaches are calm and the coaches let everyone know before the game or before the season, hey, I handle everything on the field. If you've got an issue, you come talk to me. I don't want to hear you say a word to an umpire. And we've got that instilled over with our program for our 11U team. Now, for all of our teams, I'm not at every game, right? But we try to hold everybody accountable. We think we got good quality coaches. We still have to have conversations with them. Heck, we still have to have conversations with ourselves sometimes because we get competitive. But that's the piece of it, is having those things in place beforehand. And it's so funny because our head coach, some of our parents will start kind of jabbing over there, and he'll just look over at them, and they just kind of duck their head. And it's like, hey, this is what you signed up for. You want to be part of our team. This is how we handle business. Let us handle what's going on the field.
I think that's very well said. And what you kind of alluded to there is you have to have preparation, right? And you have to prepare your parents for, this is the way we're going to run our team, or the way we're going to run our organization. You also,
right.
One other thing I wanted to kind of elaborate on. You know me, I'm a junior deputy, and I manage the Little League Dodgers organization. I'm really blessed this year. I've got 40 kids in the organization. We're going to spread them out over 4 teams and have a lot of repetitions. And we have some rules and goals and principles. And our rule number 3 is no watching strike 3. Just like you talked about, I want my kids up there swinging the bats, right? We want to hit the ball hard. We want to try to put it in the air. And if we strike out swinging hard, I can live with that.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Yep. We've talked about some of the, the bad things about youth baseball. Tell us what you think are the great things about youth baseball.
Well, you're seeing guys develop faster and faster these days. You're seeing some high quality athletes out there on the field that are putting in the work. You're seeing parents sacrificing things to help their kids chase dreams. That part of it, I tell these kids all the time. I said, if you're going to come work with me, because if you're coming to work with me, my time has value. And my lessons are not cheap. You're going to come spend time with me. I expect you to do all the homework I'm giving you. And if you don't, then mom, dad, who work very hard for the money, you don't deserve to get to come back here and work with me. And I said, I'm okay as losing you if you're not going to put in the work, because that's not fair to me. It's not fair to you. And it's not fair to your parents driving all this way to put you through this. So, big kudos to all the parents taking the time, the coaches giving of their time. Coaches get a lot of heat, and everyone's so judgmental of them all the time. And it's at the collegiate level, the highest level, Major League Baseball, but it's even at our Little League parks. And I think that parents need to give coaches a little bit of grace and show them more gratitude for all the things they do. They're giving up their time, multiple hours every single week, unpaid, to come out there and do it. And as soon as little Johnny doesn't get to play a position one game or get the amount of innings you think he needs to get, all of a sudden all hell breaks loose. And that's just not fair to the coaches. What you can do is communicate in a very respectful way, 48 hours after the ball game, so you can think through it and get going. But I think the coaches out here, I'm so grateful for everything that they do, and they're leading our young youth. I see a lot of guys out here that it's not just about the baseball game. We pray before our games now. We've got a kid on the team that leads us in prayer. There's other things that the coaches are developing young men and women into just that, young men and women, and helping lead and creating leadership and with accountability, helping them stay disciplined, helping them with their nutrition. So I see lots of positive things happening. We can get on the negative a little bit, but if you've got a team of 11 players, high probability 9 or 10 of your parents are pretty awesome. And all 11 of the kids usually are always awesome because they're just kids. And so we have to be careful not to focus on that, but setting the plan beforehand of what you're going to establish as a team, as an organization, kind of sets the tone for that. And if the parents don't like that, then they can go find another place to play, so it doesn't ruin it for everyone else. But that's my biggest thing. You're seeing guys develop much faster. That's where you have to be careful with arm care too, because physically they're developing so much faster and able to throw so much harder. We're seeing in the big leagues now. When I came up, the average fastball was like 88. You know, that was in 2000 when I got drafted. And I think the average fastball now is like 93.3. I mean, you're talking about a 5-mile-an-hour increase. You've got multiple guys throwing 100 miles an hour. So that right there shows you that guys are developing in an incredible way. And I believe in 10 or 20 years from now, we're going to see guys throwing pitches, 108, 109 miles an hour just because they just keep getting bigger and stronger.
You're going to have to move that mound back, don't you think?
Well, what they need to do is they need to get rid of the mound. They need to throw from a flat surface. That would be one of the biggest things they can do. They're talking about doing that, but how are you going to do that? You're going to pitch them from high school or college from 60 feet, and then you go pro ball 62 and a half feet. They've talked about doing like in the Atlantic League. That doesn't work. But if you want to give hitters a better chance, because we're super progressive, we're always going to be ahead of the curve, right? We're going to find ways to, make the ball move more, whether it be some type of substance that you can't see. I mean, there's always going to be things that we're going to be doing. And a hitter's he's got a stick in his hands, and he's at the plate, and he can basically get strong. He can work on, visual stuff to help develop better eyesight. But we're always going to be progressive. So I think getting rid of the mound would give them a better chance. That way we can't create such angle. But the other thing is I think that would save a lot of arms, because throwing off that slope, and you can see it in some of the ballparks where kids are actually stepping off the portable mounds. And that's really tough. I think flat ground would be the way.
It's interesting you mentioned that about the portable mounds. We kind of had that conversation and debate at junior deputy this past off season, and we actually went with we made the decision to just redo the dirt mounds, start them from scratch and stick with those dirt mounds. I've seen enough travel ball on the weekends where some of those portable mounds are pretty narrow, right? And so you got kids falling off the sides of them. You've got them stepping past them. It looks dangerous, and I'm sure it can't be healthy, right? If you've got a young pitcher just learning how to pitch, and all of a sudden he's throwing with a short stride because he's trying to stay on the mound, I just didn't like that. So we've got brand new mounds at junior deputy. Looking forward to taking care of those, and hopefully, again, that'll lead to better player development.
Yeah, well, my pro guys and myself last Friday threw off the mound on the big field, and that's a good mound. Whoever did that did a good job. Yeah. They were all bragging on it.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and just like you're talking about developing players, right? There's a maintenance plan that you got to put in place. So we're going to try to make sure we maintain those mounds properly. And have them in good shape for years to come.
That's a really good choice with the dirt mounds. The other thing I'll say just a little bit on the tournament, and I've told these tournament directors this, and I'll keep saying it, is like, spend a little money, right? And get some, if you're going to use portable mounds, get some that are sizable where guys aren't falling off the mound. You're going to get guys hurt, but you're also, your expectations for them to throw strikes when they practice on one slope and now they're on another slope, that's just not fair. And in my opinion, it's just because guys are being cheap.
Yep. It's those weekend tournaments, and look, there's good things and bad things about weekend tournament ball. There's good things and bad things about recreational leagues. But yeah, when you're in a weekend for-profit model, that's a corner that some folks are going to cut is maybe going cheap on the mound. So.
That's right. And
go ahead, Dustin.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I said, here's something too for guys. I didn't say this earlier, but issue with rec ball sometimes that you have to be conscious of, and slash travel ball, is that if you got kids that are doing both, of making sure we have good communication with coaches so kids aren't getting abused. Because if you got a good pitcher that's playing rec ball, they're going to want him to pitch on a Wednesday, and if he's a good pitcher, they're going to want him to pitch on the weekend. So that's something else just to be conscious of making sure guys are protected and just communicating.
Yeah, I really appreciate you saying that, and I kind of want to share what we're doing now at junior deputy. And as you know, I've had lots of conversations over the years. You know that I'm passionate about player safety and player development. And one thing that I've done is I've said, listen, I want kids to play as much baseball as they're comfortable playing. So if you want to play at junior deputy, fantastic. We want you to play. But if you also want to play travel ball, we'll allow that. The only thing that we require is that if it's 9U and up and you're on a travel team, we need to know your weekend pitch counts in Game Changer. And every week I put together a spreadsheet, which is labor intensive, but I give it to all our managers and I tell them who's eligible and who's ineligible to pitch. And don't get me wrong, there's people that are upset, like you said, when little Johnny can't pitch on a Wednesday because he threw 75 pitches on Saturday. But again, I want these kids to keep playing baseball. I want them to stay healthy, and trying to steal a win on a Wednesday night in the middle of April when you're 10 years old that's not the way to do it.
Right, for sure.
Okay, we've got just a few more minutes here, Dustin. Let me ask you a question. If you were setting up coaches clinics for for teams that are 8U and under, what are the most valuable things that you could tell those coaches, kind of about programming?
Yeah, I would say first off, make sure that you understand the game, how the game is to be played. That way you can then educate the players on small things. And what we see a lot of, and we hear high school coaches talk about it, and we try to do our very best to do this. We'll kind of have this chalkboard talk where, after games, we go through things. It's like, okay, last weekend, my son had a ball hit back to him. There was a runner on third. There was no one behind him, right? There's no one on first and second. So he didn't have to run. But my son just picked the ball up and threw it to first. Now, it was a tough inning, but he should have checked that runner first because that guy just took off, right? He made a mistake by taking off, but my son didn't check it. So I'd say the first thing is just make sure we understand the gameplay. And if not, ask questions. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. So ask the questions. But once you understand that, develop a plan of action to teach the kids the game. We get such in a hurry, want them to hit, because actually it's usually from the pressure from the parents, wanting to hit, wanting to pitch, wanting to do all these other things. It's like, hey, let's teach them the game. Hey, here's shortstop. That is 6 if someone's keeping score. If a ground ball's hit to 6, it goes 6-3. 3 is first base. You start to teach them those things because here's, again, a lot of kids may not play past the age of 13. But it would be very cool for them when they watch a baseball game, they know what's going on. They kind of understand the gameplay. It's like when I watch hockey, I'm like, what is going on out here? Why is this guy going to the box? What did he do? I don't understand it. So that would be the first thing. The other thing is teach kids how to throw properly. We don't spend much time on throwing. So we see a lot of kids. I get a lot of kids in here that are having arm issues or having other things. A lot of it has to do with their movement patterns, and something that's been taught for a long time is to, extend the arm way out, as long as you can. And then that's what you're supposed to do. And then we're seeing guys at the big league level, they're shortening their arm path up more and more. It almost looks like kind of a quarterback throw. Short arm is what they call it. So that's the first thing. Teach kids how to throw. Teach them how to catch. Be patient with the catching and throwing. Hold them accountable for the parents. Hey, here's a sheet of homework. I've got it for my guys for throwing program and their running and their workouts. It's a Monday through Sunday. So Saturday and Sunday, we're playing ball. Monday, no throwing. Do your shoulder program. Do your core 1 mile run if you can, half mile, whatever you want to do. Go through the face. And then if you give them a printout sheet, the coaches can give it to the parents. And now, a lot of parents will spend the time, but they just don't know what to do. They're like, what do we do? Do we play catch? Do we throw? I mean, I don't know what exactly we should be spending our time on. So now they kind of have a plan of action. Then go through the movement patterns of the swing. Teach them how to run bases. So just kind of slow everything down and spend a lot of time on those most important things. And now you're starting to truly develop a player's IQ for the game. You're developing their movements and their patterns for what they're going to do on the field. And you start putting all that together. And I like to use our little team as an example. As we started when we were 8U and we were a single A team. 9U, we're double A. Last year we got to triple A. This year we're triple A. And I'm hoping that by the time they're 14, we've developed this pretty much the same core players from a ball team into a major level team. And that's by doing it the right way. So that would be my biggest thing, is that don't overlook just the basic fundamentals and ideas of what you're supposed to do. And I listened to this trainer, high level trainer that used to train or watch Kobe, but he went to his camps and he was learning from him, and he asked Kobe if he could come with him one morning. Kobe's like, yeah, come see him. He said 4:30, and he was like, well, camp's at 4:30. He's like, 4:30 in the morning, dude. So he shows up at 4:15. He's gonna get there. The lights are already on here, a basketball dribbling, and he goes in there, and Kobe, he's just watching him, and he's doing ball handling drills. He's doing layups. He's shooting free throws. He's not doing anything crazy. No spin moves or windmill dunks or anything. He's doing the basic fundamental pieces. And that's what he did the entire time. So that just goes back for coaches. It's like, don't get ahead of yourself. Don't watch too many YouTube gurus. Don't try to analyze things or overcomplicate the game or reinvent it. Just keep it basic, teach the guys the game, and then allow their love and passion and their practice habits to develop the player that they're going to become. But you want every kid, by the time they leave the program, hey, they know what a ball and a strike is. They know how to pay attention to the count. They know when ball four, I head to first base. On first base, I know how to look at a pitcher. And when his leg moves, I know I can go. Or, if they pick over, I dive back to the right side of the bag. All those little bitty things are the biggest pieces that you need to teach the young players, because that way when they get older, it's like riding a bike. They don't even have to think about it. They already know how to do it.
I think that's very well said. And parents, dads, coaches are bad about that, right? We want to overcomplicate it, right? And sometimes, with my Dodgers, a really good practice plan just involves a lot of long toss, even at 9 to 12. Just you got to be able to throw it, you got to be able to catch it, and you can build up some arm strength doing long toss. And parents are probably like, well, what are we doing out here for 30 minutes? Well, but that's what the game's about.
Hey, defense and pitching wins you a lot of ball games. And we talk to our guys all the times. In my facility, I've got targets set up in every cage. I've got velocity boards in every cage. So you're throwing to a target and you're building off percentages when we have to be indoors. Outdoors, you can do long toss, hit your partner in the chest. But just if your kid doesn't pitch, it doesn't matter. When he's playing outfield, ball's hit over his head. He picks the ball up, cutoff's out there, and he hits the cutoff in the chest. The cutoff relays the ball, one hop to the catcher, you apply a tag, and you get an out. If you never play catch, you never work on catching and throwing, then a lot of runs are going to be scored against you, and that's something that you can control.
Well, Dustin, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. It's always great talking with you, and certainly we at Junior Deputy look forward to continuing to build a partnership with Proformance as we're next door neighbors and have been for a number of years. So thank you again for your time. We know it's very valuable, and good luck to all your teams this spring.
Yep, you too. Carter, anything you guys need, let me know.
All right. Thank you, Dustin.